Welcome back, everybody, and today I'm back with 3 oddly specific kitchen gadgets that you might actually use. And let's get started with the watermelon knife. Let's take a look at this watermelon knife. I paid $21.95 for this. Currently has a 4.7 star rating among over 1,000 reviews. It's kind of a big knife. Look at the size of this thing. I mean, look at the size of that knife. It's very long. It's much bigger than I expected. So they claim that it's an ultra sharp stainless steel knife, ideal for cutting watermelon. Includes a safety sheath right there, ergonomic handle, dishwasher safe. Amazon says that customers usually keep this item. Now, people online who liked it said that it's great for cutting watermelons and they like the cute design. They also like how long and sturdy it is. Now, some people said that they thought it worked okay as a knife, but it wasn't any better than the knives they already had. So I'll read these over, wash this off, and then get started. All right, let's do this now. I'm ready to get started. I even got the Frequent Reviews apron out. I'm getting serious here. I've washed this off. We're locked and loaded. Let's rock. Now, what I think I'm gonna do is compare this to a couple other knives we got here, because not only did people say it worked well on the good side, but on the bad side, some people said any knife will do this well. So I have a couple of knives here, one chef's knife, one serrated. Let's see. I have a very unassuming watermelon here, which has been washed off of any pesticides or other nasties out there. I'll do my first cut with the Kunrikon knife, and then we will do halvesies for the other ones. Here we go. First cut right down the dead center. All right, it seems very sharp, very smooth. One thing I'm noticing is the size. It fits through this relatively small watermelon, so you don't have it get lost in the center there and then your cut gets kind of uneven. That I do like about it. Because comparing it to a chef's knife, a chef's knife is much smaller. This length does bode well for a watermelon. Let's turn this over and cut this up now. I was trying to think, there's different cutting styles. You know, no matter what I do, someone's gonna say you're doing it wrong. There's different ways to cut a watermelon. The one I chose for this test is the one that's gonna have the most cuts, which is what I wanna do. So I'm gonna go on the line here, rotate it, and go on the line again. And we're off. All right, as I'm cutting, it does cut very smoothly. Maybe another knife will work as well, but for its purpose, I'm finding to be gliding through it like butter. It's like butter right now. The hardest part about cutting a watermelon like this is just getting it straight. You know, like you start getting off, and by the end, it looks like a big mess. But I mean, I'm finding this to be a very effective knife. Something else is if you don't have the best knife skills in the world, like me, this is also good for compensating for that, because it seems to be pretty sharp, pretty smooth, and large enough that you don't get lost inside the watermelon. So far, so good on this. All right, let's rotate this now and do another set of cuts. So far, my first impression is pretty good, so I'm kind of happy with it. But let's finish this watermelon and do the other half with the other knives and see how that goes. I'm gonna try some cuts in a non-sawing motion to see how that goes. I mean, you can do it. Maybe a little bit more elbow grease required, but you can do it either way. I kind of prefer the sawing motion myself. I don't know about you guys, but that last cut's always a tricky one for me. All right, I think I did it. I did it. The oddly satisfying part is to pull the centerpiece out, and there we go. Not bad. Not too bad at all. All right, let's compare this to a couple other knives now. So to me, I don't know if the sharpness is going to be what makes this a choice over other knives, but the length. That length really seems to be optimized for cutting watermelon. Let's start off with the chef's knife here. I'm going to kind of alternate between these two knives. One is a chef's knife, one is serrated. All right, I can already tell this chef's knife it's harder to get started because it's not serrated. Let me switch to serrated knife here. The serrated knife is sharp and it's cutting through, but the length is so small, you can see that I'm getting lost in there. And it's making it a little bit more difficult, so. I don't know, I'm starting to think that this watermelon knife is the real deal. I'm starting to think this might be the way to go. Let me try a different serrated knife now. I think the watermelon knife is the way to go. Let me go back to, look at the size of this thing. Look at the size of this thing, and the serrations are huge. I mean, that may not seem like a big difference when you're cutting. Side by side, these 3 knives weren't nearly as good. Let me go back to this knife now. Oh yeah, way better, way better. It's one thing to do it by itself. when you compare it to other knives, you realize how much it glides through there. That's it. I'm gonna say this Ceen watermelon knife is a winner. Now, you might have some high-end, expensive, giant serrated knives on hand, but if you don't, if you struggled to cut through your last watermelon, this might be something to consider, because I think it works. I'm gonna finish cutting the rest of this watermelon, and then we'll move on to the next item. All right, that's it. I'm happy with this knife. From now on, when I have watermelon, this is my go-to watermelon knife. I was a little bit skeptical going into it, but I actually kind of like it. Next up now, if the idea of a fancy looking cookie with minimal effort appeals to you, you might want to consider this next item, which is the OXO Good Grips #1 best-selling cookie press. Let's take a look at this OXO Good Grips cookie press. I paid $25.75 for this. Currently has a 4.3 star rating among over 9,400 reviews. Currently the #1 best-selling cookie press on Amazon. Helpful tips, always good. Lots of packaging, not always good. That was a pretty big box for this. I mean, did we need that big of a box for this? Maybe I'm nitpicking. All right, so they claim that it's a 14-piece cookie press that creates consistent cookies with the press of a lever. 12 classic designs, which I believe are right in here. Take one of these out of here, and there we go. Non-slip base, I hope. Clear body shows how much dough is left. Includes a storage case for the discs. Now, people online who liked it said it was fast and easy. They said it doesn't require much force and does not stick to the dough. I didn't see a lot of cons, but some people said it was kind of a hassle to clean. I also noticed on the OXO website they have a recipe designed just for this. I'm going to be following that. They also said to put your cookie sheet in the freezer beforehand. I'm going to do that as well. So I'm going to read this over, prepare my dough, and then we're going to get started. Here are all of the discs that came with it. Kind of a nice collection there. Which one am I going to do first? That is the big question now. Let's follow the instructions and get this thing loaded up now. Step 1. Twist the base to the cookie press to remove the body. Select the desired disc. I'm going with this one. Place it into the base. Check. Twist to replace the base on the body. Locked and loaded. Press the quick release button right here and pull the plunger up, which I've already done. So, twist to remove the top of the cookie press. So far, so good. Add the cookie dough. Now twist to reattach the top. Now it says press the lever a few times until the first bit of dough is pressed out of the disc evenly. Press this until an even amount comes out. Now I have a baking sheet here, came right out of the freezer. This is a frozen baking sheet. They say that it helps dispense the cookies and release them better. Let's see. First attempt, here we go. Oh, we've got one. Look at this. There it is. Beautiful. Look at this. I do think the frozen baking tray does make a difference. There were people on Amazon that said that release was the hardest part, and these are releasing nicely. It takes a little bit of elbow grease to push that down, and I'm kind of gently removing it because I don't want it to get stuck there. But this is so far doing pretty well. All right, we're on a roll here. Let me fly through this. I could probably put these closer together. Oh, that one just fell. That one just fell. See, I gotta go slow. I can't be in a rush here. They say you can go fast, but you don't wanna go too fast. Just kind of gently lifting up. That's the way to do it. I wonder if I can switch discs before I've finished dispensing this. Let me see. Is that a bad idea? Maybe, but I'm gonna try anyways. I'm gonna try switching discs. I'm gonna pick the snowman disc. There's just something kind of satisfying about that one. Hopefully I didn't just jinx myself and ruin the whole thing. Let's see. Gently lift up. Oh, we got it. Look at this. Look at the snowman. Not bad. I feel like the lift, you kind of can't go too fast or it might stick to the press and pull off. So I'm kind of gently removing it, and I think that's the way to do it. My lines are not straight, so hopefully that doesn't bother some people out there. This is my first attempt. I mean, I'm looking pretty good here after just one try. Put some more dough in here. We're locked and loaded for some more. I'm a little bit crooked, so I might have enough for another row at the top but not at the bottom. What if I can switch disc one more time? Let's see if I can do that. Kind of like the star here. That's kind of cool. Lifting off. Oh, that was not good. And we have a star. It took me a couple attempts, but I got a star there. Let's try a couple more here. I feel like the lifting is key here, because if you go too fast With the wrong angle, it's gonna stick. But in this case, looking good. There we go. And here is my final batch here, looking pretty good. Now, once I got the first one, I was kind of on a roll. I was going quick. But then I had to load more dough, and I changed discs a couple times. I think the dough was warming up a little bit. So I had a couple of problem areas, but overall, I'm pretty happy with it. If I had just stuck to this design, I could have flown through that in like a minute. Let's pop these in the oven and see how they look when they're all done. All right, these are out of the oven and cooled off. What do you guys think about that? Now, the recipe said to bake until they're golden brown on the edges, which these seem to be. So I think they look really nice. They came out perfect. Let's take a bite of one and see how it turned out. Obviously, this will depend on the recipe you're using, but I used the one that they have in their book, the cream cheese spritz cookies. Here we go. Here comes Bailey. Bailey, you want a spritz cookie? All right, they came out perfect. I got more cookie dough though, so I'm gonna keep trying. I'll put the time lapse on and I'll do another batch real quick and we'll see how that turns out. Now, my baking sheet dissipates heat quickly. It was room temperature after a few minutes. I stuck it back in the freezer for about 5 minutes. Let's go back in and see how another batch works. Gotta try the butterfly next. Oh, there we go. We have a butterfly cookie. Speaking of flying, let's try to fly to this and throw this in the oven too. But rather than show this entire process, let's time lapse it right now. Next batch is going in. I feel like I'm getting better every time. All right, so in the end, I think this actually works. It takes a little bit of trial and error to get it right, but once I started kind of going, I got a feel for how it worked. I kind of flew through it. I made 4 batches total. This is my first 3. They all look pretty nice. Very attractive. We got a snowman. Butterflies came out nice. My biggest problem was I should have had 2 baking sheets. I was trying to get the baking sheet cold after each batch, trying to keep the dough from getting warm. So my last batch didn't turn out quite as good. I had a bit of a problem. Not terrible. Once again, learning curve, not a problem. I mean, these look like they took a lot more work than they were. I slammed these out very quickly, so I'm quite happy with it. I wouldn't expect your first batch to go well, but once you get the hang of it, you can actually make some pretty nice looking cookies pretty easily. Next up is yet another egg get it for my channel. This one is tailor-made for things like round bread and breakfast sandwiches. This is the Beggel, and let's see how that went. This is the Beggel ceramic microwave egg cooker. I paid 23 bucks for this. Currently has a 4.5 star rating among only 86 reviews. There it is, very basic looking, but it feels well made, ceramic. They say you can quickly prepare breakfast. It only takes 45 seconds to cook 1 egg, 90 seconds for 2 eggs. Makes eggs a perfect shape for bagels, muffins, or any other round bread. Includes a cone in the center for perfect alignment with the bagel. No harmful chemicals, dishwasher safe. Most of the reviews are positive, saying that it worked pretty well and it was well made, and I do agree, it's pretty well made. A few people complain about the size. Ironically, someone complained that it was too big, another person said it was too small. One other note is a lot of people said that 45 seconds wasn't quite enough. Some people suggested using cooking spray because they said egg could stick, so I might try that as well. Not much to it, so this should be pretty easy to test out. All right, it's time to get started. The only instructions are on the side of the package right here, so let's follow those. Step 1, crack egg and whisk in the bowl. Whisking is a little bit difficult with that cone in the center, but I am working around it. I'm using my blending fork for that. If you've never used a blending fork before, I recommend checking them out. I guess that's somewhat whisked. Add extra ingredients. I'm not doing that for this one. Microwave 45 seconds. They also note the microwave times vary, so adjust accordingly. So let's head to the microwave and do that. We will check this after 45 seconds and see how it looks. And we're off. And here we go. I heard one pop in here. It looks pretty good. Let's pull this out of here and see how it looks. That's pretty warm. That's pretty warm. And here is the final result. Let's see how easy that comes out of here. They didn't say to spray it with nonstick spray like some people suggested, so let's try that next. Now that is hot. You cannot really handle this. It's too hot to handle. Just kind of trying to loosen it from the bottom here. And what happens if I do this? There is the final result. It does seem pretty well cooked after 45 seconds. Can I flip it? Kind of. I mean, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. It does seem well cooked. It's weird how all the yolk went to the top and all the white went to the bottom. Let's see how the size this is for an English muffin. The classic breakfast sandwich. It's gonna hang over just a little bit. Not bad, really. Now it looks good. Let's taste and see what we got here. I'll take one bite of just the egg by itself. It's cooked. That's what matters the most. It's cooked. It is a cooked egg. Let's throw some ingredients on here and make this a real thing here. To my Canadian friends, what do you think about the phrase Canadian bacon? I don't think they like it. From what I've heard, they don't like it. To my English friends, what do you think about the term English muffin? I don't think they like that either. Here we go, a legit breakfast sandwich, and it doesn't seem like it's hanging over too much, so I think it came out pretty well. Let's take a bite. That was perfect. So the next time I'm gonna do is make 2 eggs. I'm also gonna spray some cooking spray because there's a little bit of residue after the last one. Let me wash this off and then we'll do that next. Let's go for round number 2. First up, I'm gonna spray this. Also, I'm gonna whisk these in a separate bowl. I'm not convinced whisking it in there is a very efficient way to whisk. 2 eggs this time, and this will supposedly take 90 seconds. Here we go. We'll see how this looks in a minute and a half. And we're off. Oh, something's going on in there. Oh, look at that. Whoa. There was only a couple seconds left, so let's pull that out of here. It's kind of weird. The egg was coming up over the side like that, and then it folded back down when the time went off. All right, clearly the size of this is for standard bagels, but I like those larger bagels. I like the big ones like this. Now they say what you can do is put the bottom of the bagel over here and then flip it over. That's what you're supposed to do. And it worked. It worked. Once again, there's more white on one side, more yolk on the other. Yolk, no. Yolk, no. But when you use 2 eggs, it pretty much fills up that large bagel. So I used it a couple times. It worked perfect both times. Even their timing was right. People on Amazon were saying that 45 seconds wasn't long enough. For me, it was. I guess your microwave power will vary. My microwave power, 1,000 watts, was perfect. My only complaint is that it does get hot, and spraying it did seem to help reduce the residue a little bit, but I kind of like it. I think it works. There's a lot of different ways to make eggs in the microwave, and this is certainly a viable option. So as far as I can tell, it works. So in the end, I'm happy to report that all these really worked. It's rare that I have a collection of kitchen gadgets where all of them seem to do the job they were supposed to do. Each one of these products had a pretty specific function, and all of them did well in that function. But that's all I've got. If you've tried any of these products, tell me what you think in the comments below. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.